Hey everybody, I'm back. I wanted to show a quick project. Quick. This one is sort of kind of quick. Anyway, it's an idea for a small journal. If y'all saw my video where I did a wide traveler's journal using the Pellon, I'm going to do something similar, but I'm doing it on a smaller scale. If y'all haven't seen it, I'll put the link down below of how I made this one. And it's a much more thorough than I'm going to show you today way of making the actual notebook. I'm making a smaller one, and it's the base of it is this Pellon. It's 72F Peltex 2 two-sided fusible ultra firm stabilizer fabric. I will put the link to the Amazon site down below in the description bar, and this is the one I used. And there are others. Don't get them mixed up because you might get the wrong thing and it not be thick enough. When you follow the directions, ultimately you iron it to the fabric you choose. I chose unbleached muslin for mine. When you use it, the steam part of it, it activates the glue, the adhesive that's on both sides of this. And the whole package with that Pellon in the middle of it, it's like a sandwich or a cookie, with that in the center of it. And it makes a pretty stiff and yet flexible piece of base materials, how I'm going to call it. It's a good base. And that's what I'm going to show today, is a base for a little tiny journal. Now I have a reason for doing this. In my notes here, I had sat and started writing down all these ideas of a quiet book. Like for when you go to church with your kids and you want them to sit quietly and do something with their hands and their mind and their mouth be shut and quiet. And I did it because there's so many ideas on Pinterest for quiet books that I kind of got overwhelmed until I got to thinking about this. And I thought, now this has a lot of potential. So if it works for you, run with it. If you use my idea, all I ask is that you just, send people my way to watch the video. I don't care. But anyway, I'm going to be showing you real quick how to make one of these. And again, go and look at the previous video for a very in-depth way of how I put everything together. This one is just going to be a quick run through. Some of you have already seen it, I'm sure. If you're familiar with the leather notebooks, unfortunately I don't have a Chicsparrow just right here handy. I prefer Chicsparrow to the other companies only because I found her first on Etsy years ago. And I loved my Chicsparrows. So those leather notebooks started me on the track of journaling again, which is something I desperately needed to do. I need to write down my thoughts, because if I don't, it just stays in my brain and it goes around and around and around. And so for me, I just kind of have to write it down. Same thing with things like, like an idea. I'll forget it if I don't write it down. And sometimes, when you hear a piece of music or a song on the radio, that's really dating me. How about a song on a commercial on TV? It sticks with you. Sometimes that happens and I'll get in a rut and it'll be the same thing over and over in my brain. And sometimes I just need to kind of get rid of it. And so if I throw it in a notebook, I'll have a thought that, oh, I can go on now. I don't have to keep that, those figures for whatever the dimensions of the refrigerator was or whatever it is. If it gets stuck in my head, I'll I'll try to write it down so that I don't have to remember it. Now, because I've used some Chicsparrow leathers for my covers for my notebooks, traveler's notebooks, in the past, I went to the website at chicsparrow.com. I'll put that down below as well. And I made little thin cardstock. This is the cardstock I'll be using today, by the way. Let me see if I can try to get that into focus so y'all can know what I'm talking about. I'm using a thinner cardstock. I got it off of Amazon. I'll put the link below. And it's not stiff. It's a pretty decent weight, but it's not super stiff. This stuff runs through my printer very well, and I use it for lots of different things. It's not so thick that it tears up as it goes through, just as regular paper either. But what I did is I used some of those pieces of cardstock, and I went to the Chicsparrow website, to the very top bar of the website where it says size 101. And what she's done there is she's given us a listing of all the different sizes of notebooks that they make, and then what will fit in the notebooks. So all the different sizes of the leathers are here, all the way down to passport size. And she also offers a little tiny notebook where the inserts are this size. And I was smitten. I don't have a use for it yet, but maybe someday I will. But this little nano was so cute and adorable. That was one of the things that kept rolling around in my brain, and I was wanting to make one out of this stuff. And then I got to thinking about the quiet book thing for the kids at church or something. And I wanted it to be something that would be easy for a parent to carry along in a purse or bag, easy for a child to hold. For example, little child hands, if you picture that. All the way to me tucking this size with some papers in it in my purse or back pocket. Just whatever I need to do. It's small enough that I can use it too. So it's all across the board. All I'm going to do is show you a foundation, how to make it, and some thoughts about how to use it. Again, on her website, this is Chicsparrow. She gives all the different sizes, and I've only gone up. The biggest one I'm showing right now is the personal size. I've cut these to the size of the insert, not the leather, because an insert is just a little group of papers, however you want to put them together, and they go inside your notebook. So an insert is what I'm going to be talking about first, because of the size of the inserts. The easiest thing to me to do when I was even a kid was to fold a piece of paper in half, right? We learned how to do that when we were kids. And we learned how to match up those corners and the sides. This is a regular piece of computer paper. And I wanted it to be where the little notebook that I made was going to fit this. If you think pretend I'm cutting on these lines. I'm not going to do it on the camera. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But if I cut one piece of computer paper in half, lengthways and width, length and width, is that right? Anyway, if I cut on the fold lines, I'll come up with pieces of paper, 4 of them, that are this size. Then I can, this is back to the cardstock that I showed y'all. Those 4 pieces of paper can be put together. There are 4 of them here that stuck together. Can be put together, folded in half, and fit into the little book that I have here. Now, and I will be putting all the information for everything down below. there's a lot to this video for a huge range of people. I want to talk about homeschoolers, families, those who are crafty, grandmas, moms and dads that need something for kids, but they want it to be more than just a toy from the grocery store. You know what I mean? This idea can go many different directions, and that's what it's intended to do. I'm going to finish this idea real quick. I had done the 4 pieces of paper folded in half, and if you staple them in the center with a long arm stapler, I think probably a regular stapler would even fit this size book. Use 4 pieces of paper, make one of these little notebooks, and we're going to put them in here the same way that a traveler's notebook, which is basically, and don't look at the lace on here, it's not what I'm showing you. It's the base of a book, an elastic strap to hold it shut, and on the inside, this is a better illustration here, are 4 elastic bands that the booklet's inserts will slip behind with those elastics right down the center of each of these little inserts. And you have a little notebook, which is what I'm going to do today. The little notebook, I was trying to think of a name for it, and I can't, to call it a size. I know for a fact that when I was making cards, we cut this size paper, printer paper, to make a card this size. And that has a name. I don't know if that's A5. I have no clue. I don't know these things. I know that when you fold that in half, that size, here's the one that goes in here, that when it is one full sheet of paper cut in half both directions and then folded in half, it becomes 4 1/4 inches tall and 2 3/4 inches wide. I don't know the size. If somebody can let me in on the secret of sizes of folded paper, I will be able to label this. But at the moment, the little star is telling me that this is the one that is the one I'm working on right now. So this is not a size that is available at Chicsparrow, by the way. This is just the size I have decided to work with. These other sizes, real quick, that's the nano that she offers. That's the passport size, the pocket size, a little bigger, and personal size is even a little larger. There are larger ones than personal. I love this size, the personal, for my own work. So, I'm going to get the sizes out of the way. We've already now made the inserts way before we've made the cover. Now the cover is made of, in my case, the way I made it, of unbleached muslin and the Pellon in a sandwich with a sheet of muslin on the top and a sheet of muslin on the bottom, and it has been ironed and put together to make what is a nice sturdy piece, a base piece. You can use other fabrics. This is just what I have chosen to do and what I have on hand done ready right this minute, and it's the first piece I made, and I've cut up and have been working different things trying to figure out what to do. Ideas, you know, I gotta do something. It sticks well. I have not had a problem with it peeling up or anything. So I believe I paid $6.98 a yard for the Pellon, and I have Amazon Prime, and I do believe I got free shipping on that. Might just be because I got 6 yards of it, so it might have been I had enough. Pardon me. So what I did is I cut. Let me get back to these notes. I have too many notes. There's lots to talk about. To start out with, I have the piece the base piece, I'll call it. That's going to be the pellon and the fabric, and you need an iron with steam to make that. Please check out the other video I made. The link is below, and it will show you a much more detailed way of doing it. At this point, I have gotten to the point now where I'm going to put eyelets in it. So I'm going to show you real quick how I did that. It's also in the other video. I have a tool by We Are Memory Keepers. I do not know if this is called a crocodile or something like that or not, but I think it is similar to one of those. I'm not 100%, so I'm sorry. See, this is the hole punch. The hole punches are over here, and then the eyelet setter is here. The first thing I'm going to do is punch holes 1/4 inch apart, I think is what I came up with, and I did forget the little ruler on the other side of the room. I know for sure it's 1/4 inch down from the edge. Nope, they're a little bit further. I think it's 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch apart is how I did this one. And I'm going to just punch the holes 1/4 inch in from the edge of the fabric or the base. And when I get those holes punched, I'll be able to insert the eyelets, and then we'll strap the elastic on. And it's a really cool project, I think, to do maybe with kids. Some of this, of course, you're going to have an adult close by, but the idea of the kids being involved comes with the thoughts that I was thinking of for family time, family group time. If you're a family that, I'm going to keep working while I talk. If you're the type of family that gets together and in the evenings and you are trying to find things to do other than watch TV, this might be a family project. I'm going to take these eyelets, and from the cover, the outside of the cover, I'm going to place them in each of the holes. And all I'm going to do is use the setter, the eyelet setter, and crimp them into place. And as you can see, I already did one in the sort of the center here. I eyeballed that outside. I had to use the old-fashioned method on it and get these tools out. And I can't remember the company that made these, but it was from my scrapbooking days, and I had them, and so they came in perfectly handy. Get them out of the way. And it punches a hole, and then it sets it with a hammer instead of squeezing it like this. So anyhow, the family project thing has come to mind, and if you're trying to promote family time, if you're trying to make a way to spend more time with your kids, I got to writing down a few things that I thought some of y'all, especially if you're wanting to spend time, for example, reading your Bibles. I know a lot of families who go to our church have been raised with Bible reading time in the evenings and prayer time. If you are a family that likes to do that kind of stuff, this might actually work well for you too. Family worship, that's what it's called. If kids are a part of family worship, they're more likely to remember what they've heard, what they've been taught. Allowing your child to read out loud, to pick a hymn out of a hymn book, for example, any number of things. So the notebook comes in, though, more and more by teaching a child responsibility, personal habits, life skills, responsibility, and then just management too. I was thinking, if my boys, who are now almost 30, that's done. Those are all done. If my boys, if I had known about this stuff earlier, I'd have had them make these little notebooks with me, or maybe as an older kid, and have their own, because I really think that if they had something they had to be responsible for and make sure they had when they left to go to church or when they left to do whatever, and bring it home, be responsible for it, they would have learned more responsibility at a younger age and had higher skills in time management and study, those types of things. That has been something that I had wished long years before I actually taught my kids these things, that they were able to do it. So just, it might be a way to help with that. And for the homeschool, I'll talk about that in a second. Let me show you this real quick. What I've done is I've taken a piece of 2mm elastic and I've cut it roughly the size of 2 times across the front of the book. 2 times across the front of the book will mean that the elastic, once the knot is in it, will close the book. And I'm going to use the middle eyelet, and I'm going to take a piece of jewelry, I don't know what to call this. It's not thread, it's a little thicker than that. It's almost like dental floss, and I'm sure dental floss would probably work as well. Thin fishing line, maybe? I don't know what to call it. But I'm using that, and I'm making the 2 ends of it. I know you probably can't even see it, but I'm making the 2 ends of it meet. It's probably about 12 inches long. And where it loops out here is where I'm going to take this little piece of elastic that I have knotted together. I'm going to thread it into the middle of that loop. So now their loop ends are together. And from the inside of the book, I'm going to feed the ends of that piece of, I don't know what to call it, thread, I'll call it thread, through the middle hole of the back of the book and save it. And that will be the closure strap for our little notebook. Now I'm going to do, hopefully, each of the, we're going to be putting 4 straps on the inside. If you're using a piece of this elastic, you may want to singe the end off so that it'll keep a better end so that you can work with it. You start from either one side, the left side or the right side, and you start from the inside